So, Patojo was shouting at Dave, insults and stuff, and Dave was just fucking giving them back. And so the four guys got up and they walked off, and Patojo said something to Dave, like, "I'll see you again," or something like that. And David retorted with, like, "any time." So Dave was fuming. He was sitting at the bar, fuming. Looked like he was going to fucking eat concrete. It took a while for Dave to calm down. I never told him to calm down. I just kind of sat there. Ordered Dave a shot of Caribbean rum, and after a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, Dave calmed down, and we then headed back into his place. He was very silent on the way down. I knew not to say something to upset him, but I just wanted Dave to calm down, because as I say, Dave was mad Irish, redhead, and Dave would have just fucking killed you, basically. He knew that he had a lot to lose if he went down that road, especially being an ex-British soldier. So we go back to Sue's anyway, and David had calmed down, and he reiterated the story to me again about him, Patojo, and all this type of stuff. And Dave just basically said to me, "Cole, you'll get this." He says, "I'm just letting you know." He says, "This will come to you too." He says, "You will have to go to," he says, "we will have to go to the meetings," he goes, "and it's once yearly," and he goes, we're going to get a ration of shit. So he says, "My advice to you," he says, "is to stand up for yourself. If they fucking tell you to sit on the floor, fucking don't tell them to fuck off," he says, "but just say no, you're not doing it." And he goes, "And just, stand your ground." And he was right. I was to experience, a bit of bullshit, even on his dock, on the dock and stuff. And I was to get that, and then it would abate, because they knew I was gonna take any crap. So I could understand the local guys, you know what I mean? I really could. But scuba diving wasn't brought down by any of the Belizean guys. It was brought down by Larry Parker, an American guy who trained the locals, and it went from there. Yes, there was fishing, there was boat trips, but there was no scuba. And as far as I know and I understand, it was Larry Parker who brought all that down to Belize with the first dive centre and stuff like that. So, but it was their island, it was their country, and it was understandable at the end of the day that more white people were coming down to basically take their jobs. Not take the jobs, but take potential divers, because there was trips to the jungle, there was trips fishing, there was trips on catamarans, there was jet skis, there was out island fishing, there was the Great Blue Hole, there was Lighthouse Reef. There was so much to do, but there was so many tourists. So David would, he worked with a couple of the local guys, young Graniel. Alfonso Graniel was a really nice guy, and David would work with Alfonso. His whole family were joiners and carpenters. They built boats and everything, cabinets. They built houses. Everything with wood. These guys did it, and Alfonso was a really, really cool guy. He was only in his early 20s when I met him, and any divers that David couldn't handle, David would pass along. He would ring up Amigos Del Mar. There was a guy down there, a British guy down there, ex-RAF, called Grant, and again, Grant was married to a local girl, so he was in. He was okay. They would ring Grant and say, "Look, Grant, I've got 6 guys. I can't take. Do you want them?" So Dave would always pass. He would always pass people on. He wouldn't tell these guys, "I'll come to me tomorrow." They would share, and he kept him in the good graces of a lot of the local people, and David never took a commission, whereas other guys, if they sent them to you, they would take 10 or 15% commission. Dave would never do that. They've always made enough money. He was never greedy, and so Dave would pass the divers on to these other guys, and kept a lot of people happy. But Patojo and Sabbath and this gutsy Gonzalez guy, they were just fucking dog shit on a stick, basically. So So that was the history of that. Go back to Dave's. We went to the gym, which was at the Belize Yacht Club on the 2nd floor, and there was a little pool there, and we would stop, we'd do a workout, and we would go for a little swim, go back to Dave's, go up to the restaurant, get a bite to eat, sit and chill with some of the people coming in. we used to get a lot of the British soldiers coming down there that were doing jungle warfare training. We had some SAS guys come down. Dave obviously knew them from the mainland. They would come and eat with Dave. I would say hello, but I would never sit at the table with these guys because I didn't know them, and obviously they're not going to talk about anything in front of me. But them and Dave would have a bit of a chin wagging, you know, and you'd hear them laughing and joking, you know, but people did this and people did that because Dave did selection, you know. Dave worked with the SAS guys as a signaller, and so we knew a lot of these guys. And you know, being a staff sergeant, David was also a fitness instructor, and Dave would beast these guys, so he was well known in a lot of places. My eyes were opened to quite a lot of things in the first few weeks on San Pedro, and you know, sometimes it wasn't good, sometimes I was tested, and being a hothead in my early teens and late 30s, I took shit from nobody. I wasn't going to be walked on. I'd had that at home. I'd had that with my stepdad, and I just wasn't fucking going to take it from nobody. So got to the point a couple of times where I was going to start, you know, throwing down and fucking, you know, just starting to fight and stuff, and a little voice in my head said, you know, don't do this, you're going to get done. So for the first 6 months in San Pedro, I had to go to the police station and buy a monthly visa, and the monthly visas were 25 Belize dollars, which was about 17 quid, which was nothing really, if that 10, 12 quid or something like that. So I'd go down to the police station. The sergeant there was Guerrero. I can't remember his first name. A real nice guy, really cool guy. I got to know him. He knew David very well. Him and David were good friends. When he came to the restaurant, Sue never charged him for any food or a couple of drinks. You know, just kept everything sweet, and that's what you did. You just greased people's palms, and it was a mutual respect, and you know, he was a nice guy. And so Dave says to me, if you go get your visa, you know, take a little bottle of Caribbean rum, you know, discreetly, you know, give it to the sergeant and tell him thank you. And he goes, that will go a long way. So I was down there one day and we were talking, and you know, he was asking me how I liked San Pedro and what I did back home, and all this, was I a soldier, all this type of stuff. And I just happened to say, you know, I used to call him Inspector. Dave says, call him Inspector, don't call him Sergeant. So I just says one day, I said, yeah, Inspector. I says, oh, a question for you. I says, is there anything that you like? You know, is there a particular drink that you like? And he says, oh, you know, I like the Caribbean rum. And I says, no problem. So the next time I went in, I got a nice bottle of Caribbean rum, which was about 15 or 20 Belize, which wasn't expensive. And, you know, wrapped it, you know, I took it in my little dive bag, my little backpack, and got my visa signed. And I says, oh, Inspector, by the way, I thought you might like this. Gave him the little bottle, big smile on his face, fist bumped me, you know what I mean? And, you know, just, you know, if you need anything, you know, Mr. Colin, if you need anything, you know, please, you know, come and see me, you know what I mean, this type of stuff. So, you know, that kind of set the ball in motion as well. It was good to have the local police sergeant on your side. And I got to the point where a few months later, I did need his help. I did need his help. Me and Gutsy got into it, and he got the good news. So everything was peaceful at Dave's. We went to the gym, we went for a bit of a swim, back to Dave's, got something to eat, met a few people. We just sat out on the balcony of the restaurant, getting ate by mosquitoes. The wind was lovely, the crack was great. Once the SAS guys and Dave had their little chin wag, Dave called me out, introduced me to the SAS guys, and good bit of crack and everything. I never asked any business, you know, we just laughed at jokes. I sat quietly and laughed when they laughed, and you know, that type of stuff. And around 10 in the evening, I excused myself and told Dave I would see him in the morning, and I went back down to Taft's, to the Pirates Lantern.